Hi, I'm Denise Daffara. Welcome to my video. This one is a whole collection of my art that I'm taking to Brisbane Art Fair next week. Oh, well, whenever that is when you see this, but it's on Mother's Day weekend, the 8th to the 11th of May 2025, that the actual art fair is on. And I'm sort of a bit chuffed to be sitting in front of this painting because this has been my backdrop on many a video and it wasn't finished and it wasn't happening and it changed so many different times. I will see if I can put together the last video I made with snippets of how it came to be this. But yeah, here it is, all done, and quite a different kind of a vibe to some of my work, but I show you a bit more during this video. So I hope to meet some of you at the art fair. If you're overseas, I'm sorry that you're not able to come and see, but hopefully this, if you enjoy my art, then this video gives you some close-ups and bits and pieces about each one and the details and things. So yeah, hope you enjoy.
In a week from now, I will be packing all of these pieces into my car. So today, as I have some time to myself, I need to hang out with these all in this space, and I wanted to share some thoughts about them with you. So I'll whip around the room first to show you all that's here. That's the largest piece I've got. A bunch of smaller ones. Those ones up there, and these ones. Here we have Chloe and foliage gathered, I've called that one. And these are a little bit, probably last year's work actually. And these ones really highlight the method that I was very comfortable with of making just mark making in the background on the surface before, and then bringing shapes or masking in, finding shapes that I would then create the painting, but the marks underneath remain sort of random, which gives you just so much of interest that you couldn't make that up by trying to paint each individual leaf. So I particularly love this method, and I probably will return to it in the future. And so this one here, I've spoke about it on a little video and it didn't work very well on YouTube, on Instagram. But I wanted to point out that I noticed that she actually looked really quite sad, but that she had happy daisies on the table. The stripy vase and stripy cup speaks of sort of quite optimism to me. There's sort of fun in stripes in my mind. And she's holding her own hand, which is bringing her comfort in her quiet time, contemplation, and that very much depicts, I guess, the space that I've been in a bit over my whole life, but in the last 18 months or so, living in a new city. So this is Rochelle, and she had a lot less happening on her table before when I presented her for sale somewhere on a different platform. And so I decided to make a bunch of changes to her table, and I changed the background. The background was actually the very bright vermilion-y red, really kind of celebratory Matisse-like. And so I've just calmed the background walls down and added a whole lot more interest to the table pieces. And instead of her being alone all by herself, I have added another place setting and another cup, so that it's up to our imagination as to who might be there with her. And but she's enjoying breakfast with avocado and toast and a pot of coffee. Not tea. I decided I quite enjoy painting these little coffee percolators, in the little paintings I made of aura recently. So one of those made it onto this table. Speaking of aura, here we have 2 little paintings that have aura in them. And so these were inspired by 2 tiny paintings that I did. There's 2 little tiny paintings that I did. Sorry about the light. Might be able to make a flat picture of them for you. But those inspired these bigger ones. Oh gosh. Okay, so I noticed that in the smaller ones there was more of a looseness, not being so careful, letting things be a little looser, and so they are my preference to see that looseness in the lines, and using a little fine paint pen, so able to sort of have a little bit of playfulness about it when it's very tiny. And so the next size up, do you see what I mean? Where they get a little bit more well behaved. And so that's curious for me to observe. And I have a real preference for this one, the colour, the way the colours are together. So yeah, they're very what do you call it? A bit emotive for me. I love the little paintings with aura in them. They really have my heart. Next, I have this little wee one, and it's funny. I had a few less things happening on the table, but they were kind of so evenly spaced and kind of in lines that it was almost like they were on a sushi train. And so I needed to get in there and make a few more bits and pieces and make some things overlapping. So the candles were quite fun for that, making some overlap with the candles. And so that was a fun little playful one that probably might have come before those other 2. Just playing around with sort of patterns and, you know, the napkins with the daisies, flowers and stuff like that. So I was having a bit of fun with little aura. And this one here, I had done a tiny version of it as well when I was doing the aura collection. And so I loved it so much that I thought, all right, let me revisit that design. And so I bought a teeny weeny tea set. So this original one was inspired by a painting I did earlier called Annabelle. And so this is the version of the tiny painting I made, and then jumped ahead to do a larger iteration of it. And this is the tiny little tea set that I used as inspiration to add to the table. So that was a bit of fun. And so that's little Aura sitting up at the special table. She wants to come to the tea party, and I called it Little Footprints. So I have added little, as if they're wet footprints coming in on the floor and on the chair. So that one's quite fun. I guess I let myself do that fun piece, like it was just all, I guess, a bit well behaved. And so the wet footprints felt like, well, that's not so well behaved. Let me do something. Let me try and do something to break down this idea that everything has to behave itself. Now these two, they got inspired by probably by this kind of layout a little bit, with having a whole bunch of things on the table and some in front of each other. I got inspired by some Pinterest pictures of tea parties. And both of these paintings are completely reworkings of older paintings that I had done before. that you know, they're only about a year old or something, but I decided to completely revision what they could be. And because I had the tea ceremony or tea party theme happening, that's exactly where I took them. I just realised I was full on into editing this painting. So if you just look at the main table and thing, that was what it was. I might be able to drop in an actual what it was. And I was pretty excited. In the original, I had made an interesting board with all of that kind of pattern all over. And I thought, ooh, I want to keep some of that. And so I made a tabletop and kept an art piece on the wall. But as it happened, I don't think that's actually worked. What's problematic to me is the angle of the table and the angle of the art on the wall is not quite working. So now I'm revisiting this one, and I hummed and hawed and did all kinds of ideas. And so I'm using this reference picture from Pinterest and giving it a whole new life. So I've kind of brought all these different elements in, and now I'm just going to see how, and of course typical in a Denise move, trying to keep the greenery that I had in the picture, and the oranges I've put them on a little plate, they were on a bowl. I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's that's what I've done at this moment. And now I'm going to sort of do these sort of place settings and see where we go. And I'd like to do this sort of hanging thing here, and just simplify it. So I was merely going along here and thought, hang on, let me pause for a second and show this piece and where it's at, and then, you know, maybe come back and show you as I proceed a bit further. So I particularly am enjoying this one here. So I left, there was a plant, those leaves, there was a plant sitting on a table and a bowl of oranges in the original painting called Two Lattes. And so that's the only thing that remained, was the oranges and these green leaves here and a bit of greenery at the top, which then became that sort of overhanging thing. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you've seen on Pinterest where you can get these poles that you put on each end of a table, and then a pole across the whole table, and you hang you know, they're like little glass bulb vases, and you can just sort of have everything draping down across the table. Oh, I would love that. So yeah, this one is very happy maiden king to me, with very much a celebration of green, which is my favorite color, and you know, sort of playing with the darks and lights, and so yeah, this one is very, very special. I really love this one. It's called Strawberry Sponge Cake. And this one here is called Birthday Lunch, I think, because it really reminds me, you know, it's all set ready for a celebration for somebody's birthday or something. It's quite girly, little folded napkins and all that, and all the roses. So that one's really quite delightful. And this painting's going to go through a big change as well. It had a sort of, it's just giving that a little bit of an abstract pushback, Monet-ish in the background. So yeah, those two are part of the newer tea celebratory ones. This is one of the tea party ones, looking down sort of a version at the table with little chocolate strawberry tarts. And so I had quite fun with the pattern making, you can tell, with like a smaller tablecloth on top of the table. So that was a bit of fun. And then from that, I did these two here. And so then these two are part of that tea party. There's a trio. There should have been four, but I got distracted, because I've got these same size ones. They're 40 centimetre by 40. But I got distracted and made that one the fourth. So anyway, these two here are very much kind of the similar table scene, inspired by the cafe scene that I saw. And what I'm loving about these is the looser line work. So I have let myself make looser lines and different color palette for me, trying to really play with lights, and that strong blue is sort of the dark, and a little bit of colored glassware, but yeah, really enjoying those very, very light lights, the pink and the blue. So it's very feminine, but a real sense of joy and playfulness, and that celebratory tea party connection that that is quite a significant part of my thing that brings me joy, I think. So yeah, these are quite a gorgeous, and they are the newer style of painting that I did for these works, for this collection. And then I have the blue section. That's Anushka and Claire. No, yes, it's called Claire. And so I did some edits to this one actually. She had quite a large abstract kind of darker painting behind her, and so I made it into a seascape, and I changed her robe from the very deep blue to this very lovely kind of duck egg blue, and changed the flowers on her robe to go with that, with a little pop of the darker center, very inspired by Marimekko, just to calm the whole painting down. I just gave it a new vibe for going to Queensland, which is where the art fair is. And then this one here was already complete as it was. I have called it the Bowerbird collection because there's just so many blue things in it. It's got a drawing painting of one of my other paintings, which is a card. And then this one here also is depicting a couple of my paintings that are on card. And there's a fun little piece in both of these. There is a little picture of an elephant there, and there's a little wee elephant here, because I was really having fun at the time with the idea of the elephant in the room. So those two have their secret little elephants in the room, which a lot of people do have the elephant in the room, that we, that thing we can't talk about, or we don't talk about, or we wish we could talk about. And then so this one here, I like these two were done together and it was complete, but I made a few edits to that, and guess what they are? I added tea to the cup and bickies, and so now the new name for this is Tea and Bickies, which I'm really delighted how much that those additions really warmed it up. And so you almost can sense that there's hot tea in the pot, and there's Scotch fingers and shortbread creams. The shortbread creams were a favourite of my sister, who passed away many years ago now, but I can still remember visiting with her and having hot tea and shortbread cream biscuits. So there's a really delightful memory that gets stirred within me when I see that one. So yeah, tea and bickies. This is called Noosa Coastal Walk. So this is one of the few abstract paintings that I have done, but the fact that it's got the blues and the very pale blue and the pink in it, I thought it doesn't look too out of place with the new painting. So I thought, let me bring that with me, especially as it's called Noosa Coastal Walk and it's going to be for sale in Queensland. And as well, on that abstract theme, I have these two other little paintings that that I thought they could come in as well because of their greens there. And then I added some little cupcakes to that kind of abstracted table. So they're a bit of fun as well. Fun to do abstract. I wonder if I might encourage myself to do more abstracts as the time goes by. We'll see. So yeah, that is the ones that are a little bit out of my ordinary, but still have the essence of my work because my hand created them. This is the one that you will have seen in my videos over the last several months. It was on the background behind me a lot of the times when I'd make just talking video. And it just had that, in the end, it just had the green section, and I had a smaller amount of table, I think, and I had that pear tart. And so I left the pear tart and painted nearly everything else, which made it feel very Queenslandy with its sort of tropical feeling garden. And so this really could be a garden party. And I've called it pear tart and pansies. No imagination there, but you know. So yeah, this one's a really kind of a little bit different palette for me. You know, bringing in these sort of the taupey kind of color and lilac, kind of light mauve, which I felt was sort of a nice, gentle kind of a color going well with these creamy yellows. And then the quite fun cheese platter. Many years ago, I used to make paintings with ladies sitting having champagne, and we did cheese platters and stuff. So that was like a revisiting to the past in a way for me. You know, the water jug, and what else have we got? There's the pear tart, the gold cutlery, the little, they could be little cheesecakes and little, I don't know, little custard tart type things and little cheesecakes are a bit fun there. The fun glassware. Trying to be a bit playful with the flowers. So I really was enjoying playing with having some things behind, some things in front, making a little bit of depth to it, but not really having shadows and things, just the shapes, enjoying the different shapes, and the setting being an outdoor, very Queensland vibe. I'll take you up close to these pieces. So I think that's one of the reasons why I particularly love these big art fairs, is that you create the work you're creating. I have a beautiful gallery that I'm part of that will represent my work, and what the majority of people are coming into that art fair art lovers already, and they have the intention to buy art. I have been playing with the idea in a way that when you make a little painting with some of your heart's desires depicted in it, it's almost like you're painting your own oracle cards. You're painting the desires of your heart onto a board or canvas, and you get to see a reflection of a part of you that wants that expression, a part of you that might be calling that in. As I don't generally see pictures in my head, like aphantasia, no visions in my head, painting them out is really helpful as well, so I can see them. I think I can hear Aura at the door. Oh. So this is Aura. This is little Aura. The little Chihuahua foxy that came into our life about 14 some odd years ago.